Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here and talk about this situation involving Ving Rhames. And if you guys are not familiar with him, which at this point really everybody should be, there's really no legitimate reason why you shouldn't know who he is. He's been in Pulp Fiction. He's going to be in Mission Impossible. There's a slew of other. I think he played in Baby Boy as well. So there's a number of different movies he played in. He's the very prominent star. And the thing of it is that I've been in the system of white supremacy. People tend to think that, and a lot of people have actually said this, they'll say that it's not about racism. If you have money, if you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, if you just do this, that, and the third, then racism will go away, indicating that Black people do not even know what racism is, because racism is about race specifically. So racism means that no matter what you're doing, no matter what job you have, no matter what clothes you wear, car you drive, or credit score you have, you're still going to be subjected to white supremacy. And I think the fact that Black people don't even really understand white supremacy, which is odd because we're the biggest targets of it. So I don't understand how we have people in the community that are very confused as to the system they live in and will try to make all of these excuses and attribute white supremacy to something other than their race. That's really surprising to me. It doesn't matter what you do in the system of white supremacy. The crime is your Blackness. So everything is going to be adapted around you being Black. And I think that's what a lot of Black people don't understand, which really puts us at a standstill in terms of dealing with racism and white supremacy. Because if you have people still confused about what racism is or white supremacy is, despite being victims of the system for 500 years, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not even sure how people could still question it. But when you are a celebrity, you are not exempt from racism. And that's why I think it's very interesting how these celebrities, although being Black, will turn a blind eye and convince themselves that somehow their celebrity is going to shelter them from white supremacy when it's not. We know this because we know a while ago LeBron James' home was vandalized and he was called niggers and all these other vile racist names, and it had absolutely nothing to do with his money. That's the thing that Black people are not paying attention to. This is not a system of class supremacy. It's a system of white supremacy, meaning anybody who is non-white are subject to the violence and brutality and the oppression of systemic racism. And until we understand that and stop trying to make excuses and find ways to deny the system of white supremacy so we don't have to address it, we're going to always be victims of it. Now, it said police held Ving Rhames at gunpoint in his own home after a neighbor told 911 a large Black man had broken in. So they want to try to put it as, oh, this was a situation where they mistaked him for a burglary. No, because they just told you why they called. They said there's a large Black man, and really they had no evidence that anybody was breaking in anywhere. So the bottom line of it is they called solely because they saw a Black man. Now, I'm going to let you guys listen to this news clip where, part of it is he's talking about the situation. It happened in 2016. Why he's just coming forward about it and now, it's interesting to me. But let's listen to it, and then I'll come back with some commentary.
Impossible's Ving Rhames' shocking answer to a question about racism. The actor is recounting a terrifying story that played out right at his front door.
Yeah, he says a police officer pointed a gun right at him, and Adrian is on the story. Adrian, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. There are conflicting accounts as to when this happened, but no matter. For the veteran actor who stars in, as you mentioned, the new Mission Impossible movies, including the one right now out with Tom Cruise, it was a horrifying experience.
What good is a smart home if it's not a safe home?
From your TV to the big screen.
He made it.
He's one of the most recognizable faces and voices in Hollywood.
This is a bad idea. I knew he'd make it.
Now, Ving Rhames reveals the real-life drama he experienced after neighbors mistake him for an intruder and call the police on him at his own home.
I get a knock on the front door. I get up, I open the door, there's a red dot pointed at my face from a 9mm. And they say, put up your hands.
He shared the terrifying 2016 incident on Sirius XM's The Clay Kane Show. The Pulp Fiction star says police were responding to a burglary call from a woman who lived nearby.
A woman called 911, said a large black man was breaking into the house.
Santa Monica police won't confirm if guns were drawn on the actor, but say in these potentially violent situations, it's not uncommon. Rames fears the outcome could have been worse.
My problem is, as I said to them, what if it was my son and he had, a video game remote or something, and you thought it was a gun?
However, it wasn't his fame that helped de-escalate the situation. Instead, the police captain who responded to Rames' residents realized their sons play on rival basketball teams.
And Rames says police did apologize. And after this and other similar incidents, Santa Monica police launched a Meet Your Neighbors program in January 2017 to encourage people to get to know the people on their block. Good idea. That neighbor, it turns out, called police. When police realized the mix-up, they introduced Rames to that neighbor. She denied making the call.
Oh, wow. We know
Okay.
it was very
Probably
interesting.
felt embarrassed.
But his point about his son and the video game remote is a really horrifying and scary proposition.
This is obviously a conversation that's been in the public discourse as of late.
Justifiably. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, the thing, did you guys notice how when he spoke about this scenario, he said that he got a knock on his door, and when he came out, that he had a red dot on his forehead. So it's interesting how when you see cases where the police are dealing with black men, they all automatically come out ready to kill. But when you have real life terrorists like Dylan Roof and other people who just ended up murdering people, then you see the treatment is very different. They're taking them to Burger King to get Happy Meals. They don't feel like there's any threat. And this is something that people, a lot of black men, tend to overlook. And the reason I say black men is because this police brutality has always and is always going to affect black men more so than anybody else. And specifically because black men are taking no action against it. That's really what makes it very problematic. And then you have a number of them who at this point, because you have the Anthony Bryan Logans and other people who will outright deny that there even is a problem. You guys heard that Christina chick on there talking about, and this is how delusional they are. And this is why I say that Christianity is a tool to where it is white supremacy, because notice how on there, she was actually defending the system of white supremacy, saying, well, black people have a higher rate of murder, so therefore they would be in jail now. And the thing of it is, it's such an ignorant statement, because she doesn't understand that people are not being locked up because of rates of crime for an overall population. They're being locked up for actual incidences of crime. And if you look at the actual individual incidences of crime, white people commit more crimes in general. They also are more likely to get their charges turned from murder to manslaughter and other situations, which means that they're not even being charged for these crimes, although they're committing them. So that's why I say Christianity is a white supremacist religion, because you have a number of different black Christians who end up defending white supremacy rather than condoning it. And we saw that with Christina. But that's one of the things, and why I say that black people, specifically black men, should be holding their celebrity black male counterparts accountable for this, because this happened in 2016, and there was no public statement from Ving Rhames on it, even though he was very well in the situation that we've seen Trayvon Martin in, and then numerous other black men in. The only difference is that he didn't get shot and killed, and that was because the person who the police chief out there said recognized him. But other than that, they had guns locked and loaded and ready to do something. He had a target on his head. But you don't hear celebrities speaking out on this, nor do you hear black people actually holding celebrities accountable, rather than hold them accountable and force them to use their influence to address a situation that we all go through, even themselves. We blindly support them. We don't hold them to any type of standards. We don't hold anybody to to any type of standards. We just keep funneling money into these celebrities who do nothing with their influence when they actually have the power to change quite a bit. But you guys let me know. Let me know, why do you think it's a common practice now for Black people, specifically Christian Black people, to defend white supremacy? And why do you guys think that Ving Rhames held off on even speaking about this in 2016 when it happened? He's just now recently doing it. But they said the confession came after Kane asked the Mission Impossible star about his experience with racism. I am sure you hear about all the reports of Black men being attacked by police. Kane asked Rhames, you are a big star, but how does racism show itself in your life, And then Rhames answers, they said Rhames' answer proves, despite his stardom, he still deals with the reality of being a Black man in America. This happened this year. I'm in my home. It was around 2:15 p.m. in the afternoon, Rhames said. I have a screen door and then I have a wooden door. I'm in my house. I'm in a pair of basketball shorts only. I have 2 English bulldog puppies. I hear a noise in my background, but I'm thinking the puppies are just running around. And then I get a knock on the front door. So basically they have the police surrounding his home. Mind you, no evidence that a burglary actually occurred, but because a white woman called in the report and said that there was a Black man breaking in, then they came out, guns drawn, locked and loaded and ready, okay? And so they were surrounding the house, obviously. When he opened the door, Rhames said he was staring down the barrel of a 9mm handgun. The man with the gun pointed at him, a police officer, was supported by several other officers, the chief of police, and even a police dog. I opened the door, and there is a red dot pointed at my face from a 9mm, Rhames said. Now, the thing of it is you have to look at it this way. They have zero evidence. All they have is a person calling in and saying that a Black person is doing something. They know the climate of the country. They know that white people are calling the police on Black people for no reason at all. And this just shows how complicit they are in it, because they sit here and came ready. Nearly the entire police force, you have to look at it like that, nearly the entire police force came out simply because a white woman said a Black man was doing something. No evidence to substantiate her claim, and she didn't need to have any evidence. All she needed to say is that there's a Black man out here. Okay? But anyway, he said, they say, put up your hands, literally. I just walked and opened up the door. Then they said, open the front screen door. They said, do it with one hand. So then I have to do it with one hand. My hands are up and they have me outside. Rhames said the chief of police recognized him and ordered the officers to stand down. He said the officers revealed a neighbor called 911 telling the operator a large Black man had broken into a home. Rhames said when he and the officers visited the person who made the call, that person denied it. And the thing of it is it's not just on the person who called it, although of course she's gonna lie, but it's also about the fact that all they had to hear was large Black man. Really, that's all they needed to hear was large Black man, and they came with nearly the entire police force and a dog. All they had to hear is large Black man. That's really all they had to hear, and yet you have Black men that still deny that this is an issue in this country. Rhames knows he was lucky, but the situation made him worry about his son. My problem is, as I said this to them, what if it was my son and he had a video game remote or something and you thought it was a gun, Rhames said. Rhames isn't the first public figure to have a frightening run-in with the police. In May, NBA star Sterling Brown was seen being brutalized by police in a parking lot. The officer later joked about the incident on Facebook. Listen to the full interview with Kane and Rhames below. So you guys can listen here if you want to. But the thing of it is this is why I say we need to start holding these celebrities accountable and withdrawing support if they're not going to acknowledge racism. Because with mainstream Black people and celebrity Black people talking about the racism, what you'll end up having is a more valid response, especially if the celebrities are talking about withdrawing certain things that contributes to this economy, like basketball and football players and things of that sort. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We don't have any of that. And it's interesting how she will put his fame saved his life. They just told you it wasn't his fame. They just told you his celebrity had nothing to do with it. It had to do with the chief recognizing him from their sons playing on football team, on rival teams. So it had literally nothing to do with his fame. And she trying to say, oh, his fame saved his life. Why would you even write that when they clearly said it had nothing to do with his fame? But you guys let me know what you think and why you think that there's more and more black men specifically coming out and denying that racism exists. Do you think this might be a cop-out so they don't have to address racism? Or what do you guys think it is? Let me know. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.